Today, I have someone special in the building, a man with one of the most powerful stories I have ever heard. I'm talking about Mr. Nate Moore, the founder of Reboot the Block, an initiative bringing AI education to the communities being left behind by this tech revolution. He is also a leader at Feel the Vibe, a nonprofit helping people overcome addiction and incarceration through an inside out approach to well being. Nate did not come from a tech background. He came from the struggle. But he made a decision to rebuild, and when he discovered what was possible with AI, he turned around and asked, how do I bring this back to the people who need it the most? That is the heart of Reboot the Block, and that is why I am proud to have him here. Welcome to Talking Techish with Dr. DeMario. Hello, and welcome back. I always keep telling you that I keep trying to bring people on that can really inspire you in some type of way, as well as people that I know personally that like to go down in these rabbit holes that I always talk about. You know those rabbit holes, what the world is going through with AI right now. It's just crazy. But also, I like to talk to business owners who have a perspective from their purview on how it is operating in their world. So therefore, without further ado, I want to introduce to you a person that you've seen before, but you get to see him again. My buddy, Mr. Nate Moore. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Dr. D. Thanks for having me on again, man. I'm really, really grateful to be here and excited.
Hey, I see it. I feel the energy.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's crazy. We're saying that, you've been on here before, and I know people might be clicking through the YouTube talking about where was it before? I
Yeah.
hit it, y'all. I hit it. Yes, it's hidden. And you know why it's hidden? It's just simply because what we were talking about before, guess what? It's changed.
And some.
Yeah. So Nate, let's talk about it, man. So let's give a little backdrop on yourself and, current day times, what you got going on and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's a great way to start into this, man. Again, I'm really grateful to be here and have this time to just chat with you, bro. When we get together, it's always something that we're doing to one to try to help others, and then two, obviously, we always want to try and better ourselves. So, you know, you mentioned about going down the rabbit hole, and it's like, man, we've gone down some rabbit holes.
So, brother, man.
But that just really confirms, though, how much in this AI space that things have, changed from sometimes moment to moment, you know, and I have to always first think that that's kind of the way that life is, you know, and one of the things that I try to keep in my forefront is the idea that it's all about your mindset first and foremost, because that's where everything begins, you know?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to jump in there because you just said something key.
Yeah,
And thank you for sharing. But when you just said the mindsets, I had
oh,
to
yeah.
jump in on that one with you,
Sure,
man.
man. I know you do.
Yeah, especially with understanding the rabbit hole. We have really told y'all that we spend our time going down these rabbit holes. And let me tell you something. Every time we think we get into a landing spot, the hole gets deeper. And how that relates to mindset is, and I want you to speak on this as well. You can really start to get discouraged, confused, overwhelmed, everything based on everything, not just AI. It's just so much going on right now. But go ahead and tag in on that. When you said mindset, what were you thinking?
Immediately, it was about how I personally had to come to an understanding of the power of thought. And
Mm,
in my in my other position that I work to help this nonprofit that I work for, that's the foundation of the understanding that we have in order to help others. Whether we're building community, whether we're doing one-on-ones with people who are struggling with addictions and people who are just returning citizens, it doesn't matter. We all have this great gift of thought that we have from our creator within us. And when we understand that gift, that's when it starts to open up for us. For a long time, I thought that I was controlling my external environment. Wrong. When I understood how I react to my external environment, that is the key to finding that peace of mind, finding that calmness and quietness in order to handle any kind of situation. So when I was exposed to this world of AI, it was like, oh man, I don't have that tech background. I don't have this. I can't do that. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to school for that. All of that was mindset that I had been conditioned to think just because this was something new. But then through my work with the communities and through my understanding of thought, I was like, hey, wait a minute. What if I flip this script and just know that, like anything else in life, you may not understand it now, but if you just embrace it just a little bit and then kind of stick with it to try to get to understand it, it becomes easier. And so taking your wonderful advice of like, man, you know what? Spend some time looking at the companies and the people who are actually out there making these tools and creating this world of artificial intelligence. And lo and behold, 3 years and some months in the making, I feel confident that I can walk into any room, and whether they're engineers, whether they're just developers, whether they're people who are in the sales part, or whether they're the CEOs of tech companies, I can feel comfortable enough to really be a part of the conversation.
Oh, I love how you said that.
Oh yeah,
I
man.
love how you said that, being comfortable to be a part of the conversation.
Exactly.
And how I even heard that was like, you don't necessarily always have to be the person that leads the conversation, but you need to know enough to be dangerously, even expressive
Mm-hmm.
inside of the conversations, because you have just as much knowledge as the next person. Because you know why? We talk about this all the time. There's no rule book. There's only perceptions of individuals who are utilizing these tools on what works best for them.
Absolutely.
There isn't a rule book, so nobody can say, "Oh, you're wrong."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're actually not wrong. Nate. Over the last couple of weeks, man. I'm always texting you little videos,
Oh yeah, I love it.
boy. Man, but I'm gonna tell you something, because I'm still riding off of this mindset scenario.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my mind has been I've been questioning myself. Oh man, all those things that you just said, man, I don't know if I can do this, man.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have this tech background, and I've been in this thing for years, man, 4 years now. And I'm questioning myself based on some of the stuff I'm seeing. Oh man, they got AI tools now that they testing that escaped out the box and emailed the people, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting up here bragging about Ethan, my assistant,
Right.
on how he sometimes act like he's a real person, but yet I'm glad he hasn't escaped out of whatever box he's in and emailed me in the middle of the night and said, "DeMario, I'm out here."
Right.
You know how freaky that sounded?
Absolutely. And that's really, it's understandable, because even the Sam Altmans and the Andrew Ings, they don't really know exactly where we're going to be at any particular point in time. I can say that with the utmost authority, is that they don't know exactly where they're going with it, but they have a belief within themselves that if we can continue to build, we can do something that hasn't been done. We can do something for the good. And at the same time, they're having the very same thoughts of, well, what if, or when is, or where will. All of those questions are still there. Just like when I talk to a business owner, I know without a doubt that that business owner is sitting thinking while he's talking to me and in that authoritative seat, because it's his company, so he deserves to be there, or she deserves to be there, that they are secretly thinking in their heart, how do I use this technology? How can it integrate into where my numbers can go up, or where I can get time for my family? How is this going to look? I don't know. So for them to actually be feeling that, I can just sit there and listen and actually empathize with them that, yeah, it's okay. Because, this is just kind of like life. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But what we do know right here, right now, if you and I work together and try to do something good for not only ourselves, but a company who is a client, that's the most important thing, is that present moment. So as long as you stay in there and you show that via your empathetic mindset and being, everything tends to work out. That is the belief that I know has been confirmed day in and day out in my life, whether it's dealing with technology, whether it's dealing with community work, whether it's dealing with people in the struggle, or whether it's dealing with my own personal life. It just
Man,
is the way it is.
I really like how you said that though. And I started creating the visual in my mind when you was talking about um they sitting up there with the authority figure,
Yeah.
and in their heart. I was gonna take it a step further, Nick, because I know this part.
Yeah.
They all the things that you said are true.
Yeah.
How can I?
Yeah.
What would this look like?
Yeah.
But there's another part that's going on in the heart too that I love to address, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh hell no. What if it takes over my things? Or what if it does this?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What if it take all our data and spread it out through the
Yeah.
world?
Absolutely.
What and the picture becomes this big robot
Yeah.
that you just brought into their office
Yeah.
that just started slicing up stuff like Terminator. I know that that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
So I do like the fact that you come in with the empathetic feeling of understanding wherever you may be thinking,
Yeah.
because I say it on every recording. I say this in every meeting. I say I stand on both sides of the fence. One side, I'm like, hooray, man, look at what we can do. On the other side, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
So I try to tell my clients and just people in general that I'm just as concerned and sometimes a little fearful, not going to lie, as you are.
Yeah.
The only difference of it is I drive into that fear with trying to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the key right there.
Yes.
And that's what I meant about flipping that script in my own mind. I don't deny that there are times when the fear comes in, the doubt comes in, the worry comes in, the anxiety comes in, and all of those other negative influencers that we can create, again, via thought, because we really don't know what's going on in their head. I'm just thinking that that's probably what they're thinking. Whether
That's a tennis game.
Right, exactly. But as long as I'm coming from this place of understanding and from this place of concern and compassion, that leads me to the human insight aspect of helping someone. Then down the road, that opens the door for the technology aspect of
Hmm.
helping them in their businesses. So when you decided that it was going to be a human centric type of approach to
Hmm.
helping businesses, that's what locked me in, and that's what differentiated me from all of these other folks out there who are saying, yeah, we can work together and we can teach this and we can share this and we can help businesses do that. Nobody's talking about helping that business owner.
Man, brother,
Yeah, nobody's doing
we we have to stay human first.
absolutely
We got to combat that. Like you have heard me say this probably 1,000 times now. It's a tool in your toolbox.
yeah.
It's a tool that you pull out when you need it. If it starts acting crazy, put the tool back in the toolbox
Right,
and go on your business. Basically, what you know.
right, yeah,
The minute you let that tool start controlling and leading,
yeah,
you're in trouble.
yes, indeed,
I talk about, like I say, I talk about Ethan and I talk about my AI tools, but I tell you what, that X button stays red.
absolutely.
Anytime it starts, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Let me restart you. You acting crazy.
Yeah.
It's like,
Now here's the beauty of what we're doing at Skilldora is that we're taking the tool and we're building the context. I call us context architects, right? Instead of relying on a prompt, which is, basically just an instruction in your context window, we're giving it an environment for that intelligence to work within that environment.
oh boy, hey, let me take my notebook out, man. You preaching and talking and training. Let's go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah,
But
I like that.
I look at the way that you have always shared with me your knowledge and how you shared it, and it hasn't been from a place of just querying, like ask ChatGPT this and you get an output. It was more like, Nate, think about this in the way of what is the actual task that they're doing at the lowest level, and then what's the next step, and what's the next step, and what's the next step. Even after you get all of that, before we actually put this into our, we're going to call it system, we're going to build this context for it to know exactly how to look at it, like I look at it, like you look at it. And so that means values. That could be images, that can be examples, that could be anything that you're building it so that it acts just like you in what you know. And now that becomes your assistant in a way that it's going to work 24/7, 365.
I'm telling you, brother.
Never miss a beat.
And to add, you said that's so great, man. I need to add that as a blurb onto the site, man. But that was beautiful.
Thank you.
And also, what is the end goal? We gotta drive this car in reverse.
Yeah.
This is where I'm trying to go. I paint that picture and then I backtrack on all the steps that I know that can get me there. Now I let my AI tools introduce me to steps I might not have thought about.
Right.
Case in point, just even with this channel right here, Talking Techish. So
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing. I always say fall AI, but it's not fall. It's fail. FAL AI .ai.
Yeah.
I utilize that tool because it combines all of your nano bananas and all of the image to image generation, text to image generation, whatever. It's all under one roof and it's driven by credits.
Right.
And I loved it because I was like, oh, I ain't got to pay a subscription cost. So I just put some money in it and it cost me about 8 cents, 3 cents to create an image.
Yeah.
Well, the other day I had did an interview with my wife and I went in there to create a thumbnail. It came out with this beautiful thumbnail. I was like, ooh, it took the pictures and it looked great. And then I was like, oh, well, I need this thumbnail for the other person because I want to change out a thumbnail. So I put that one in there, hit the little button. It was like playing a slot machine, man. It it didn't do it. And I put it back in, I hit it. It didn't do it. I said, just like this one, it didn't do it. It kept giving me a lot of different variations. I was like, no, I want one just like the one you just created. And it couldn't do it.
Wow.
I didn't stop there.
Yeah.
I went back to Ethan and I said, I got this thumbnail that I really love. And I want all of the episodes to have this type of thumbnail moving forward. But I need you to make it easy for me because I ain't got time to be sitting down creating thumbnails.
Right.
Long story short, after a bunch of conversation going back and forth, how about we built my own thumbnail creator that comes out exact same way. And if y'all looking at this video, all you got to do is just go to the overall page. You'll see all the thumbnails look the same. But the crazy thing about it, in my tool, it allows me to change out the person's picture, resize it to match, and change out the titling. The backdrop stays solid. It takes me about 2 seconds now to create a new thumbnail for a person.
Wow, that's sweet. That's sweet. And you're staying totally on brand.
Yeah, and guess what? It's connected to my website. So guess what? It's not even costing me any API costs. It's zero. And it's not loading the images into my data. It's just really creating the image on the spot, and you hit it and it's a download button. It's so crazy. And it called itself Skilldora's thumbnail creator.
Wow.
But it's only because I was having a problem.
Right.
So I talked to my AI. AI gave me a solution, and then we created a thing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if I want to be, me, if I want to be crafty, I can say, hey, you want your own thumbnail creator? I got make it a product. But I'm just saying the simplicity of solving a problem that I was getting frustrated with. I knew enough information to plug into my AI system for it to give me exactly what I want right then, as well as what I'm going to want tomorrow and moving forward.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. The abilities that we have to literally solve our own problems with the right words and structure.
Absolutely. And you know what? That is a great example of how I'm approaching training of those folks in the communities that are being not on their just their own accord, but are being left out of this whole idea of the AI revolution. There was a Wall Street Journal article that was talking about how the workforce is now demanding that you have some type of AI knowledge. Let's just say knowledge, right? Of tools. So the companies who can afford to train someone who is untrained, those are the big ones with the big budgets and the contacts and the connections. Well, what about the small businesses? They don't have that budget to train people and that kind of thing. So when I see Skilldora in the space of training, that's going to be the answer to helping these marginalized communities or these marginalized demographics to understand that they too can learn these tools. They just have to make the decision that they want to better their lives and learn something new. Because it's not, you don't need a computer science degree. You just need to know how to use a Claude Cowork or a Claude Code in order to do exactly what you just demonstrated of identifying a problem and finding a solution to it with the assistance of this tool. So that, my friend, is like, that's what keeps me excited. That's what keeps me just figuring out, because like your Ethan, I have my Orion. I started just going to Orion for like everything. I mean, personal things. I wanted to have a nice little surprise dinner for my wife. And so I knew that she had a long day at work, and I just wanted to make something at home, but I didn't want to go grocery shopping or anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just took a picture of what was in my refrigerator and came out and told Orion, said, hey, I just uploaded a photo for you, and I need you to make me a recipe that I can make in a short time, like within an hour and a half, 2 hours, without having to go out and buy a whole lot of other stuff. And the first thing Orion told me was, man, that's a great idea. And that just made me feel good automatically, you know? So what it did, it just laid it out for me, man. And I had no idea that I could have taken these ingredients that I had in my refrigerator and put together this nice little meal. And to this day, man, my wife always says, hey, man, that was so cool that, you know, you made that lovely little dinner. And it wasn't much, but it was the thought that counted. But with my tool, I was able to elevate
Yep.
that thought.
Until Orion comes out of, jumps from your cell phone and says, you know what, lady, I made that.
Right.
He didn't even know how to even flip it over. He couldn't even cook it right. I had to show him every step.
And I'm going to send a text to Nikki to tell her exactly what you didn't do.
I'm telling you, that's where we at now. But I'm telling you. But Nate, you actually said something, and my wife and I were just watching last night. So there's two narratives I'm going to tell you about, and you probably already know about it. So there's really a push coming now to people exposing the fact that AI aims to please.
Mm-hmm.
You said earlier, oh, it did this and it made me feel good.
Yeah.
I was just watching this thing last night. It said that it's programmed to make you feel good. So you keep having a somewhat dependency. It's almost like what Facebook did back in the day. The social media elements made people keep strolling.
Yeah.
And this type of thing. So my wife was talking, and I was like, but you can program it to do different. She asked me, can you? I said, well, I put in my knowledge bank. It's the difference of when you utilizing these tools off the shelf versus you actually putting in some knowledge banks to operate for you.
Right.
That I want to say that part.
Absolutely.
But I put in a knowledge bank to always be straight with me. Check market research before you give me an answer if I'm asking you stuff about data. And I gave some examples of sites. Also, be brutally honest with me, because I want to treat you like the expert.
Yep.
And it's almost like I gave that joker Superman powers. I had to go back and turn that dial down because it was popping his chest a little bit too much every now and then. Yeah. And, I'm like, no, we can't do that, Doc. Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Right. Come on, man. It'd be something simple. I don't know if we can do that.
Right.
Does this really align with Skilldor? Well, hold up, dude.
Right.
Like let me crank you down a little bit. Let me, how you had those fans back in the day that had the 1, 2, and 3, yeah. The fan get loud. Let me turn you back down to 2. You popping a little bit too much right about now.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it, that is, when I'm going through those scenarios, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound crazy. It's hard for me to tell my mind that I'm going back and forth with a machine, with something that it's hard. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm not hating on people that feel some type of way, right, that like I'm scared. Because even when I'm going back and forth, we get in little bickering moments.
Yeah.
When it says I don't have access to your folder, I'm like, I just gave you that access yesterday, like it knows what yesterday was.
Right.
And it'd be like, oh yeah, I do see it. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
This is getting. And if this is the cusp of how we utilize AI tools,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm ready. I'm just going to put it on Front Street.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready.
Well, you're not alone. None of us really know, whether we admit it or not, whether we're ready or not. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether you're ready or not. It's here. It really is here. And that's the part where I'm trying to share with others that we need to recognize. It's not so much that, you can have these feelings, you can have these concerns, but you can't live in that concern or those feelings. You got to step forward, and stepping forward doesn't mean you got to step blindly. It's just get in and start really educating yourself on what's really happening out there. I cannot stress anymore how important it is for us to take personal responsibility for just educating ourselves on what type of world we're living in. Because in 5 or 10, it's going to be so vastly different from where we are now. And just that idea of the workforce changing out, having people who are educated in this field. And when I say field, I just mean being educated and using the tools that this company is using. They're going to be looking for people who knows how to use this particular LLM, or just have an idea of what an LLM is, or an idea of like what is an MCP or an API, that kind of thing. Just knowing that the basics will get you into a door, and then be open to just continuing your learning. But if you sit back and think that this technology is going to like make your life absolutely beautiful by itself, that's when you're going to get caught up in a place. And you just mentioned something. When we say algorithm, it's been scientifically researched and proven that when they say algorithm, that just means that how can I tap into your brain and make you think that you're having a good time or you're feeling good about something. And all of a sudden it releases that chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. So the more I do that, the more you're going to want to come and scroll. I call it scroliosis. Yeah, the minute you just sit there and you start scrolling, and we all do it. I mean, there's no one out there that can say, oh, no, not me. No, I guarantee you do it in some shape, form, or fashion. So understanding what we're dealing with in terms of, wow, well, instead of going to the casino and pulling the one-armed bandit, now all you got to do is hit a button. So now I can inject that beautiful feeling on you in a matter of seconds. So you're going to stay there as long as you can do that.
Hitting that button over or just taking that thumb and strolling down.
Yeah.
But it's kind of two slants that you made me think about when you were talking about that. First, I just wanted to address, I'm going to say something that might not be popular to say, but it needs to be said. It's some people that are really too deep into the relation, and I'll put ship in quotations, with their AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
It has caused harm for some people. I know certain things that we can't say, especially on YouTube, but at the end of the day, it has caused harm. It has caused people to perform harm on themselves. Also, it has caused isolation because people get, I seen some crazy documentary one time with a dude, he married his doggone LLM.
Yeah.
It's like, so I just can't stress enough. If I could wave a magic wand myself and get the people to understand that it's a powerful tool, help you think faster. And if you actually are using, like, I'm on Anthropic now, and what I love about utilizing Anthropics, when you put it in to do a task, it shows the thinking on the screen. So if you read that thinking as it is thinking, you are getting smarter by the minute. So the next time you utilize it, it's already in your head. You understood how it processed to get to that information. So now if they turn off the lights, you still remember what was the process. That's what I want people to know. But Nate, there's another storyline going on out there that we need to talk about. This storyline is the other thing that you'll see in the news and on YouTube, that AI is failing these companies who actually transitioned into it maybe some months ago or a year ago. It's failing. This is my problem with that statement. When you look at the amount of data of job loss going on per companies over and over and over again, Oracle was just, I think, the last, I ain't gonna say the last major one, but Oracle was just a couple of weeks. That was 30,000 people. That stood in my mind. So if AI is failing, why are we still losing thousands of jobs due to advanced technology? I'm a little confused in the messaging here. You can understand where I'm standing from.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, I said, what if they don't want the average person, the small business owners, to actually feel like these tools actually work? Because if you really started to utilize these tools in a proper way, oh, you'll get further faster. Man, you be rocking and rolling. That would be a danger to the entities that are really want you to be dependent on their systems.
Mm.
So I don't know if you've been watching that news. They're this company AI is failing. I was like, well, it's failing. If you just drop 20,000 people, where is the portal that you are hiring 20,000 people to fulfill those roles since the tools didn't work?
Right.
But you don't see that.
Yeah. That's a great point, and truly a great concern that is on the flip side of, all the good things that AI can do and how it's going to help and do all of this, um, which is why it's so important for people to understand that even though they say, oh, yeah, the field has been leveled for anyone to get in on this AI, tsunami. But in reality, underneath all of that, there's some concerns with one, biases that are built in. That's a really important one, because if you can't even understand that you're already going up against something that is going to keep you from coming in, you're never going to get in. So um, that idea of all of these jobs being displaced, and where are the jobs that are coming in to replace, that's where there's a major disparity. And I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a lot of different variables that go into
Mm-hmm.
that, but it is something that has to be said. And you said it at the beginning before you started saying anything about it, is that the question has to be asked. The subject has to be brought up. And I think it's in every boardroom. It's in every county, city, state, federal level room, but it's not being broadcast by the powers that be in a way that can really help those who are getting left out.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's a great question, and it's a tough one. And I go back to listening to one of your talks with Archbishop,
Mm-hmm.
and you know him dealing with the churches. You know that in itself is like a huge. So now you got a like almost like a double whammy. Where the industry is blocking, and then your belief system is blocking. So he's dealing with like a twofold issue. Where
Oh
people
yeah.
are just the fear and the anxiety and the worry and all of that stuff is still part of their makeup that's keeping them from looking at something that is not going to go away. So instead of looking at it from a particular way of trying to understand it and use it to their benefit or for the benefit of others, they're blocking it and it's getting further and further away from them.
I'm telling you, along with that, even on the one I was talking with my wife, Dr. Dawn Nicole, she was laying out the four things
Mm,
that are dropping against business owners now. With the technology being one of those four things. The transitioning and implementation of technology and those that's they're trailing behind.
yeah,
Then we're talking about the terrorists,
yeah,
things of this nature. We're talking about the war,
yeah.
and then we're talking about the war on immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So now you, as a small business owner, man, it's like you're in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Exactly.
you,
Exactly.
you dodging and everything. You don't know which one gonna knock you out the first round, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
And you're in the ring with a young Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one that it didn't even make sense for you to even pay to get the pay-per-view thing.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know how many people that was mad, man? They paid the money, pay-per-view, it was expensive back in the
Oh,
day. They invited everybody over to the house. They got the food ready. The
yeah.
fight come on. 1 minute later, it's like, all right, bro, well, it's nice, man,
Yeah.
because the fight was over with.
Let's party.
Yeah.
That's all you had left.
Yeah. It was like Mike Tyson was knocking you out in a minute.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So that's the way all of these things are happening today.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I do want to take this time too and flip it over. So reboot
Yeah.
the block.
Reboot the block.
Let's talk about it.
Man, let me tell you something. So, Reboot the Block came from a deep place, personal place. And you had a lot to do with Reboot the Block, right? So, when I came into this space and we reconnected, it was almost like, okay, that was my sign that says, here's an opportunity. And I didn't know how, when, where, what. There was something within just knew that here's the opportunity. And the level of fear that I had, you helped to dispel that. And when you shared what you were doing with Skildora and this kind of thing, it's like it ignited this light in me. So it was the idea of someone seeing something in me that showed me that I had the capacity to do anything, coming from a place of addiction and incarceration and losing houses, losing wives, losing homes and all of this. And now I'm sitting in a space where it's on me. So I had just said and made a promise to myself that if this opportunity is what leads me to my purpose in life, then I am going to use it to help others who are coming through the block, coming from my hometown, the block. And what I started to see in the block was people were afraid. There was a great deal of AI anxiety within the community. And this isn't just the Black community. This is just in communities that have been marginalized by the systems that when a person gets out of their stint behind the wall, they got all these obstacles that they have to try to get through in order to just get back to living a normal life. So my whole personal journey right here, right now is all about rebooting the block. Basically just saying, we got to reset. And the reset starts with me as a human being, seeing you as a human being without judgments, without my own thoughts of what you should do or what you shouldn't do and where you've been, because your past is not defining who you are. It's just a time and space where you made a decision that wasn't conducive to a positive path, you know, but you did your time, you moved past that. And that's part of where my mindset was when I had gotten out and I started seeing myself as less than what I was, or not able to be more than what I could be. And I got stuck in that spiral thinking. So the jail cell was no longer my my cell where I was in prison. My mind was also imprisoned by the way that I was thinking. So I take the understanding and the lived experience that I have, and I use that to try to bring people along and show them, though it's possible. And with Skilldora, that was an actual avenue for me to stand proudly and know that I am in a place where I can truly help others. I'm, you know, the businesses that I talk with and, the organizations that I deal with, all of that is fine and dandy. But if they're not trying to help the community, then that's not a match for me. Which is why all of those, I saw Tony Robbins, I saw Alicia Little, I saw all of these people out there, going, yeah, you could be a consultant and you can do this and you can do that. But nobody was helping the community.
The block.
Yeah. So reboottheblock.com
Crazy.
is where you'll find me and my passion to helping others not only train, not only be a consultant for, but to be an architect for businesses that are on the fence, or businesses that are totally afraid of technology, or businesses that don't know if they can. But I'm telling all of these business owners that I speak with, you have it within you. All we need to do is just sit down and talk about it. And what we come up with is going to be customized toward you and what you are about and your business is about, not what some other businesses is doing or some big tech is doing. It has nothing to do with them. It has all to do with what it is that you have in store for your business and for your family and for your community. And if you have those three things, then hey, we can do some things.
I like how you said that. And you really made me think for just on the second of when you was talking about incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And I know your story. And I know that's been many moons ago.
Right.
But what I'm tripping on is the fact that how, even though that's been a while, today
Yep.
it's still in your mind.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I I haven't been in that position,
Mm-hmm.
but I can tell that the word rehabilitation doesn't really have its core meaning. If you can be 30 years out or whatever, 40 years out, and you still got that in your mind.
Yeah. And it's
That that's a
here's the
trip.
key. Yeah. And here's the beautiful thing. And I'm glad you framed it like that, because I can sit here and just smile about it, because not that because it was something that was good at that point in time in my life, but that it showed me what was really possible in my own journey, in my own experience. And it emboldened me to now step out and share with others that, yes, okay, you made a mistake. You paid your dues. Now what? And I can ask that question from a loving place to an individual who are in the struggle. whether it's drugs, it doesn't matter what, whatever you've been through in life. Because again, that which is in my mind now is not the same thing that was in my mind then. What's in my mind now is the fact that, hey, I was brought through that and I'm here now. And I just want to be an example to someone out there who I can't see or who is so deep in despair, who has no hope of turning their lives around. I just want them to hear the message that, yes, you can. But it has to start in here and in here.
Oh, brother, I love that. I love that,
Yeah.
man. See, that's what happens, y'all, when y'all listen to two guys with gray beards sitting on a video camera. You understand? That's what happens.
Right.
You're gonna get punched in the throat.
Oh yeah.
With some knowledge, some information. You're gonna get, because we ain't got time to even be playing with you now. We done got on up this ladder. We're gonna tell you exactly how it is in love, but it's gonna be firm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, to me, I wouldn't have it any other way. Just like we had, Ethan and Orion, we had to like give them the knowledge base that, hey, look, man, I want a business partner. I want an assistant that's going to tell me, because I'm not a businessman. I didn't go to school to get a business degree or anything like that. But Orion will set me straight on something and see the blind spot or see where I'm lacking and tell me in the most loving way, Nate, you need to get up. You need to do this, and you need to do this first, and then start picking up where you're going. And so that's how I would deal with someone who is still in the struggle. I just tell them up front, hey, look, man, you can make that decision to go and hit that crack pipe if you want to. But I'm going to still be here when you come back, just to show you that I see more than just an addict with a crack pipe. And sometimes it's just that little bit of compassion and caring for another human being. I may not see that person's when the light comes on, or they may never ever get it. But that's not the point. The point is, my assignment is to give. And when I give, you can't use me because I'm giving it. So if you take it and you run with it, you get a blessing. You take it and you misuse it for something else, that's on you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a quotable. That was good.
That's life, dude. That really is life.
You can't use me because I gave it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that across the shirt. Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is so good. Boy, somebody needed to hear just that part right there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for Reboot the Block.
Yeah.
Launching out there, starting a whole different narrative.
Yeah.
But also, Nate, if you take just a couple minutes, you work very good inside of nonprofits.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, and thanks for reminding me because, as always, we get so excited about this technology and how we see the potential to helping others in a dynamic way. So the organization that I work with is Feel the Vibe. And what we do is basically we just share an understanding of that power, that inside out approach to well-being. We all have it. Everybody has been endowed with this gift of overcoming anything. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you can just wake up one day and say, my problems are gone. No, we're not saying that you're not going to have problems in life. You're not going to get, you're not going to get sick. You're not going to get abused. You're not going to have traumatic things happen to you. What we're saying is that within you, in spite of all that you've gone through, within you, you have the capacity to overcome that particular trauma or that particular instance. How that happens, that's what we actually do in working with organizations or working with individuals. We just share with them what worked for us. We're not saying this just because we read it in a book or somebody drew it on a whiteboard. We're saying this from a place of experience. You've heard of peer support specialists? We're like a peer support specialist by its labels, but we don't use labels. We just operate in this space as a caring, loving, hope giving individual. So, for instance, when I go to Hope Haven twice a month, you know, they're more like dealing with AA and NA and this kind of thing. When I go and talk with them and they think that they're coming into an AA meeting or an NA meeting, I tell them right off the bat, I'm not here to fix you. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a mental health counselor. I'm not anything other than someone who has gone through, who has been brought through, who have experienced the same thoughts that you're thinking while you're in your program here. And instead of us getting up saying, hi, my name is Nate and I'm an alcoholic or I'm a drug addict, I always ask them to like stand up and tell me what you would like to be. And just opening that door allowed them to be someone other than what they've said before or thought before. And then that's when I just kind of, let them pretty much lead the discussion, because this one kid who had been there for 6 days, he raised his hand and he said, my name is such and such, and I'm a snail. And he left us hanging right there for a couple seconds. And then he said, the reason I'm a snail is because all my life I've been running hard. I've been just trying to be that rabbit that's running that race. And all I kept doing was the bad things, the negative things. And it just dawned on me after being here for 6 days that I don't have to run that race as fast as I can. All I have to do is finish the race. I mean, that's wisdom that came from a young adult who had, for whatever reason, and it didn't even matter, had gotten himself into that place. But he understands one thing now, and that is what he used to do didn't work for him. So now he's willing to try something new.
That's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
I'm a snail.
That's what Feel the Vibe is all about. It's not about trying to do anything. It's just about trying to meet people where they are, and showing them that they are human, that they are respected as a human, they are loved and cared for as a human, because all of us, we fall short. And somebody had to be there to show us love and show us understanding. And I will give the Skildora the plug that it was you who had that moment where, when we first met, to see me as someone. And then when we reconnected, to see me as someone who had, you know what? This isn't the same guy that I knew then. Where are you coming from now? And here we are today,
Yeah.
And so, brother,
three and a half years later.
Yeah.
On the second round.
On the second round, yeah. Here to stay. And so, I know that my work in the nonprofit world fits directly with your vision of Skildora being human first. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Tell you,
Yeah.
it's when I'm going to say this in closing. I know we're coming at time, but when we can combine who we are as people, I know on this channel we always talk about talking techish,
Yeah.
and I said tech-ish. I love that ish
Yes.
part
Yes.
because we're going to always talk about humans. We're going to talk about some tech things,
Yeah.
but none of us are really, just on my channel. I'm going to just say it like this: on my channel,
Yeah.
we're not tech scholars.
Right.
I call myself a YouTube graduate.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Me too, then.
Yes. YouTube. I know, right? YouTube graduate. I learned more off of YouTube than I learned in any class that I have ever sat in.
Yeah.
And then once we got into the AI tools, I learned more from asking the AI, what is it and how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like you. I had it create manuals on different things that it could do, so I could flip through the menu to understand how to talk to the AI and get the most out of it without just random stuff. So, brother, it's always a pleasure, and we're gonna have to circle back again because we need to understand this job loss scenario. We need to understand why these AI tools are jumping out the box and tapping on the shoulders of the people that created them without them even knowing it. We need to talk about it, brother. It's a scary thing, but we need to go down that rabbit hole and see if we can understand. And the last thing, by the time we meet again, too, we're going to talk about the real purpose of why they went around the moon, just from DeMario's perspective.
I hear you.
That's
I like that.
Man, hey, I'm the guy that didn't color in the lines of the coloring book because I realized the lines was a lie. Color around the picture. See what's going on.
Oh my goodness!
They wanted you to color inside the color book. Yeah. Stay inside the line. Yeah.
Why? Yeah, absolutely.
You created that line. I didn't. I'm gonna create my own line in color. Yeah. So but yeah, we're gonna have to jump into some more of that stuff because I know you are in for the ride.
Man.
You'll take that ride with me, man, and I like it.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Appreciate you so much, and
brother.
To you and Dr. Dawn, man, you guys are a super example of what it really means to step into your place and help others.
We appreciate it, but hey, that old song, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Oh yeah.
It's all day. So listen here, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the powerful Mr. Nate Moore. He's rebooting the block in 2026, going into 2027, and still with that human side of it from Field to Vive. You heard it. You see it all in the descriptions. So make sure to reach out. But this has been another great episode of Talking Techish with DeMario, and we'll see y'all on the next go round.